Goff, 2 first-round picks, and a third-rounder. That was the huge deal there. Goff, the first overall pick in 2016, signed a 4-year extension worth $134 million before the 2019 season. Carson Wentz was picked 1 spot after Goff. Last week, he was traded to the Colts for a third-round pick this year and a conditional 2 the following year. So it has already been fascinating. But my friends, it is only just beginning. So we have asked everyone on the show today to predict what will be the biggest quarterback headline from this week. And Tim, I'm starting with you. What will be this week's big quarterback story?
Well, how about Marcus Mariota to the New England Patriots? Look, the Patriots love to be value shoppers. Marcus Mariota played really well last year in relief. He's due just $10.5 million, which means he could easily be paired with a young quarterback. And I think it's just his ability as a runner, but also as a passer. I think it would actually be a great fit in New England and makes a lot of sense. There's clearly interest in him around the league.
Yes, I like that call a lot. I want to come back to it because he's a person I think we don't talk nearly enough about. But Kimberly, let me come next to you. What will be the big story this week?
It's not sexy, but it needs to happen. Big Ben restructures his deal with the Steelers. Look, this is a situation where financially, none of the options are really great for the Steelers. If he retires, you cut him, he still counts a ton on the cap. If you sign him, it's still going to be a lot of money. So these two sides need to make it work because I don't know who else is going to be the QB for the Steelers.
Could be a huge sigh of relief by the end of the week in Pittsburgh from a lot of the fans then if that era continues. Meanwhile, speaking of eras that may end, Mike T, what's yours?
Drew Brees officially retires, Greeny. He's already tweaked his contract, which is going to set up some cap relief. But come on, Drew, let's announce it. Everyone knows that it's coming. Let's make it official. And soon thereafter, we have to announce that Jameis Winston will be the starter in the Saints. So Brees retires, Jameis comes on board as the starter.
Kimberly, let me come back to you quickly on that as my insider today. What do we know about the workings down there in New Orleans?
Phong cách setup biotop kết hợp với trang
Like
trí bên
Mike
cạnh
said,
ở phía
it's
trên.
not a matter of if Brees retires, it's just a matter of when he does make the announcement. This is what everybody expected to happen. The question is, we think it's in the next week or two. He's lowered his salary for the year, another domino that would indicate he's close to retiring. So, like Mike said, we're just all waiting for the official announcement.
Now, that really is the end of an era. Then the question is, are they ready to go with Jameis Winston as their quarterback? They certainly talk like they are now. We will find out one way or the other. So those are the things we might wind up seeing as this week continues. To last week's huge story, which continues to reverberate around the NFL, and that, of course, is Carson Wentz, who arrives in Indianapolis over the weekend to begin the second chapter of his career playing for his former offensive coordinator in Frank Reich. Wentz published a lengthy post on his Instagram account over the weekend, which read in part, "What a journey. To the city of Philadelphia, thank you. On the field, we brought the Lombardi Trophy home to Philly and hopefully brought a lot of joy to the city over the years. Thank you to the Eagles organization for drafting me and making my NFL dream come true." That is notable for a variety of reasons. Among them, we hadn't heard from Carson Wentz in a very, very long time. So, Tim Hasselbeck, haven't had a chance to talk to you since the deal. Let's first guess this. A lot of people wondering, can Frank Reich unlock Carson? Can he become the MVP candidate that he was once upon a time? Is that what's going to happen this season?
I don't think he becomes the MVP candidate, but can he unlock him and get him to play good football again? Absolutely. And the reason I say not an MVP candidate, Greeny, is if they try to kind of put this on Carson Wentz's back, then they're doing it wrong. The team is already built as a good team. They've got one of the best defenses in football. They've got a good runner, and they've got an excellent offensive line. It should really be about, Carson kind of being the last piece to this, where, he's going to a good team. This was the perfect spot for him to go and play well, but that doesn't mean he has to be the guy carrying it all, because what's been built around him by Chris Ballard and that Colts organization is really, really good already.
So, Mike T., let me then come to you. What is your expectation for him, particularly relative to the new surroundings? He's in a new division, a whole new start. What do you see?
Yeah, I think this is a little bit different than Tim. I think there's some desperation here. I think they negotiated against themselves, giving up 2 really high picks. And when you look at it, Greeny, in my opinion, they have the 4th best quarterback in the division. Ryan Tannehill has led Tennessee to the #1 offense since he's been there. I'm assuming Deshaun Watson's still a Texan. I know there's a lot there. And Trevor Lawrence is going to be a better quarterback than Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz struggled with confidence. He struggled with turnovers. And while I think he may be a little bit better than Luck, long term, I don't see this as a big improvement for the Colts.
Well, that's a really interesting one, and I will give you credit, Tannenbaum, because you were the one last year around this time who said the Steelers could wind up with the worst quarterback situation in their division. Everybody laughed at you, and no one is laughing so much right now. So, Hasselbeck, I'll give you the first shot to laugh at this if you want to. Do you see Wentz right now as being the fourth best quarterback in that division?
No, and look, listen, I'd argue that Ben Roethlisberger was not the worst quarterback in that division last year. You know, Joe Burrow would have been. I mean, when you look at the year Ben had, didn't end the way it wanted, but I think it was like 33 touchdowns and 10 picks. There's a lot of guys that would have taken that. Look, I look at that division. I understand what Mike's saying. That might be the case in 4 years, but when you look at it for this upcoming season, Trevor Lawrence in the first year in Jacksonville with that supporting cast versus Wentz in Indy with that supporting cast. No, I would take Wentz in that situation. In terms of Houston, listen, who knows what their situation is going to be? They may have a quarterback that refuses to show up. So, and again, I'll bring it back. It's not all about Wentz. Like in terms of teams, let's look at teams and how they're built. It's probably the best roster when you look at both sides of the ball in Indianapolis. So it's not about just which quarterback is better. It's the quarterback, supported by the team. It's still a dependent position.
And Kimberly, let me come to you here because I'm sure you talked to a lot of people over the weekend as people settled in with this deal that we knew was coming and finally got made. What is the overall reaction to the way this went down, Wentz to Indianapolis?
I think this is what everybody expected. This is a perfect situation for Carson Wentz. The key here is there will be an enormous amount of pressure on him. Like Matt's saying, Indy shouldn't make him do everything. But if you're Carson Wentz and you saw how things went down in Philly, your locker room presence was questioned, your play was questioned, whether you're a team leader was questioned, you're going to want to come into Indy and solidify yourself as the guy. Now, he's got Frank Reich. Is Frank Reich the key? Hopefully for Carson Wentz, it works out. Because if it doesn't work in Indy, a team that has a defense, a running game, all these pieces, and is just a quarterback away, if it doesn't work in Indy, I don't know where it works for Carson Wentz.
No, I completely agree. And we made the point last week here, and I said it on the radio. There is no player in the NFL who will be under more pressure next season than Carson Wentz. Historically, that's not been a good role for him. It doesn't mean that he can't do it. All right, Kimberly, let's run through the hurry up here. A bunch of other things, including we offer our congratulations to Patrick Mahomes. Why is that?
Well, Patrick Mahomes and his fiancée, Brittany Matthews, welcomed their baby daughter, Sterling Sky. She was born yesterday. So congratulations to Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs quarterback, who is officially a girl dad. He joked during the Super Bowl that he wanted the baby to hold off a little bit until after the game. Well, she has done that.
Next up.
Moving on to Lamar Jackson. Now, is a contract extension on the horizon for Lamar? We think so. I've checked in and both sides have talked, but I'm told that the talks weren't anything substantive. But that doesn't mean that Lamar and the Ravens won't sit down and discuss a contract extension this season. Eric DeCosta, the GM, has already said we want to keep Lamar in Baltimore for a very, very long time. Now, we talk about Deshaun Watson. We're going to keep talking about him. When I ask people, what's the deal with Watson? They say, why would the Texans trade him? You think about it. If you're Houston, if you give up a stud QB, you're going to want a stud QB in return. And look at the field. Who can do that? A couple teams. Jacksonville with the #1 pick. The Jets, although we've heard from Schefter and Mortensen that that's not going to happen. And Miami. So if you're another team, you might have the draft picks, but do you have a stud QB to give the Houston Texans? I don't know.
Well, that's one of the questions. When you mentioned the piece about Schefter and Mort, they're talking about the role that Deshaun himself will play in this decision. He may not be so enthusiastic about going to the Jets, but to your point, yes, they do have a lot they can offer.
How could he not, Greeny? How could he not? You're Jets. You're Jets.
My fandom is probably the single best thing they have going for them right now, but that's a whole separate issue for another time. But Tim Hasselbeck, you were making an interesting point, because I think we have talked about Deshaun Watson, and by we, I mean the larger we, everyone around the world of football, as though he is basically already a former Texan. But you were making the point in our meeting this morning, maybe there is a case to be made for them not trading him.
Well, listen, you would have to get a lot in return, and look at the compensation for Matthew Stafford. You know, Watson is a younger, ascending player who's under contract for a while, and so if you're the Texans, look, it better be a king's ransom to move him. And I understand the bad blood, but there's a new regime there. There's a new GM, there's a new head coach, and I would be doing everything possible to try to salvage the relationship, because when you really look at it, look, it really comes down to one issue. He was upset about how it was communicated to him about his involvement in the hiring of the new GM and head coach. So if you can't get past that, then I think that's a problem. I think you need to try to get past that, and I would be really reluctant if I was Nick Caserio, if I was David Culley, in terms of moving on from Watson because he seems unhappy right now.
All right, so you're Nick Caserio now, Mike Tannenbaum. How are you handling this? You have continuously made the point on this show that with every day that goes by, they have a bigger and bigger problem. So there's whatever urgency you're feeling on that side, and then there's the hope that it doesn't ever go away on the other side. So how do you handle it?
Right. What's catastrophic for them is if they don't do something now, Greeny, and then they get into September and he doesn't show up, much what happened with Jalen Ramsey in Jacksonville. So if I'm Nick Caserio, I sit down with Deshaun Watson, his agent, I try to work it out. If I can't, I cut my losses right now and maximize the compensation I should get. Because again, and now all of a sudden, you don't have anybody else behind him because you thought he was going to be his quarterback. That is the worst case scenario. And Greeny, there's another big intangible here. There's not going to be any free agent who has a choice that's going to go to Houston right now until this situation is clarified.
Yeah, so they have all sorts of things lined up against them. But Kimberly, you were making the point, as we were talking earlier, that if they call his bluff, and I put that in air quotes because I don't think most people think he's bluffing, but if they do, they really do put the ball in his court to the extent that he's got to do a lot of things this fall, if he's still on that roster, that would seem to be out of keeping with his personality.
Yeah, people that know Deshaun, they describe him, he's a good kid. That's the first thing they say. We've seen the work that he's done in the community. He was just doing stuff this weekend. You know, this is a guy that cares about the city of Houston, that cares about his teammates, a good locker room guy. So if you're the Houston Texans, that August, September is so, quote, out of character. But if you're the Texans right now, you can say, okay, maybe we didn't hire the GM you wanted or the head coach, but what we have in David Culley is a guy who is respected around the league, an experienced guy, a guy that we brought in who we think can make you and this team better. And Nick Caserio, who may not have been your choice, but has been a coveted GM candidate for a long time. So if that's, Houston can say we have.
Maybe he will ultimately have no choice. We'll leave that there for the moment. Much more football as we go, but to the NBA action. We got Kawhi, we got James Harden. KD missed his 4th straight game. Pick it up in the 4th. Clippers down 11. Paul George, yes, from 3. It's an 8-point game, Steve. Bomber loves it. Under 7 to go. Nets are up 6. Clippers down 7. George knocking. So there's that. 1 minute to go. Clippers. Kawhi down 2. Taking it to the hole. Hold everything. They call it an offensive foul. Take another look. Kawhi wants a challenge. They don't have one. And so the call stands. Little bit of acting from Harden? Maybe. Kawhi had 29, but he needed 2 more. Nets wind up winning it by a score of 112-108, continuing what has been a trend. The Nets against good teams have been spectacular. You see it. They're 12-4 against winning teams this year. That is the best winning percentage of that sort in the entire sport. And here to look back on the weekend in the NBA, there's my man Tim Legler, who gets up with us early today. I want to just start there quickly. Good call, bad call on the push-off there on Kawhi Leonard at the end of the game.
Well, there's no question he extended his arm, but here's why I don't really like the call. You're talking about two of the strongest guys in the league, and if you're going to allow James Harden's forearm to get into Kawhi Leonard's shoulder as he's driving, then how can you call that foul? I think that's where it starts to get dicey for me, because a guy as strong as James Harden, you put that kind of pressure with your forearm, that could be enough to throw Kawhi Leonard off when he goes to leave the ground and go finish that play if he doesn't give some resistance back in the other direction. And that's why I don't really like the call. There's no doubt Kawhi Leonard extended his arm. I just think the contact was initiated by James Harden, one dribble before that. And if you let that go, then maybe you just play on.
It would have been interesting to see if they had the challenge, how that would have gone. They didn't, and so the Nets get themselves another win. Meanwhile, as we go around the weekend, two things happened Friday night that I wanted to get into with you. One of them, Joel Embiid scored 50 points in a game against the Bulls. Folks might have seen it. It was on ESPN. And so I would ask you right now, Joel Embiid is second in the league in scoring, and he's averaging 11 rebounds a game. Is he your leading candidate for MVP?
Yeah, he's my MVP to this point, particularly when I take it just to look at their personnel and their offense. He is the identity for that team. Best record in the Eastern Conference. And when you look at a super team like Brooklyn with that kind of talent, you look at some of these other teams that have really been disappointing and underachieved, and then you've got Philly sitting at the top of the standings. He has completely changed his approach to the game. And whether that's the coaching staff, which he tried to deflect from the other day when asked about it, he put it more on himself. Personal accountability, got himself in better shape. He's more determined to play in the post. That is now their identity late in games, when in the past, you may have seen Joel Embiid drift around on the perimeter, be a guy that would take shots you wanted him to take defensively. That's just not the case anymore. He is absolutely dominating anybody that is put in front of him, and his approach and his desire to be great and to be thrust into the MVP conversation, for me, puts him at the head of the pack. And Greeny, he was already there for me prior to Friday night, but sometimes a player needs a signature game like that to thrust himself into the national conversation, and a 50-point game will do that. So I think Joel Embiid absolutely is right there in the mix, and for me, he would be at the top of the list.
Yeah, me too. And again, if he wins it, he'd be the first center to win it since Shaq in the year 2000. One more thing. It also happened on Friday night. A fellow by the name of Anthony Edwards did this. Oh, he goes up and throws it down. Give me a sense, Tim Legler, of in-game dunks you have seen. Give me any that you like better than that, because this one broke the internet on Friday night.
I'll tell you what, these are tough because it's all such a personal opinion, but I go for those ones that flat out made me jump out of my seat when I saw them. And it always helps if you see it live, I think. When you see it on replay and you weren't really in the moment, it does take a little bit away, and I did not see the Anthony Edwards dunk live. So I look at a couple, Vince Carter on Alonzo Mourning for me. I remember working that night, watching that game, and Vince Carter hitting him and then extending the ball back away from him and throwing it down. And the fact that that is Alonzo Mourning, one of the greatest defensive centers this league has ever seen, for me, that one probably stands at the top. I also love the DeAndre Jordan lob on Brandon Knight. I mean, this one stood out to me, Greeny, as well, because when you're going to catch a lob in the air, to a certain extent, you feel a little bit more out of control because you've got to go get that ball wherever it is and throw it down. And to have someone slide under you and to have no regard. And then the Blake Griffin one on Timothy Mosh, he gets a gel put in at the end, maybe even a blow dry in there. And he leaves the salon. Hair looks great, but his ego is destroyed. And that's the interesting thing about that Blake Griffin one on Mozgov for me.
I'm with you. It is spectacular. I would vote for DeAndre Jordan, but you can't go wrong with any. Legs, we'll see it a little bit. Thank you very much for getting up here. All right, we're just getting started for this week. Coming up, Carson Wentz, Jared Goff. They both signed huge extensions after their third seasons. You'll hear why our crew says the Browns need to think twice before they do the same with their quarterback. Plus, a Cowboys legend is asking the question all Cowboys fans are about Dak. You'll hear the question and why the answer means everything as we get up with you on ESPN.
Sarah, did you know Geico could save you hundreds on car insurance and a whole lot more? So what are you waiting for? Captain Ahab to help you find a parking spot?
There she blows! Whoop. Loading zone, darn it. Pull hard to starboard.
Too small.
Seriously? Because it... follow him. Steady, steady. Go! Thunderation to the northern lot, where there be parking spaces as big as whales.
Geico. See all the ways you could save.
Bolt 24 keeping it real with Damian Lillard.
You either got hops or you somebody I dunk on. But there is Bolt 24 Restore with 10 grams of collagen and no artificial sweeteners. Restoring that ego, that's on you, fam.
Hey, Bolt 24.
Where to go today? LA? Vegas? No, the desert. Let's listen to this. Louder. Take these guys? I mean, there's room. Maybe next time, fellas. Now we're talking. All right, let's go.
We're all here for football.
That is how we start the show, baby.
We're here for the Thursday night throwdowns.
Touchdown! Well, I like getting the ball at 17.
Sunday morning breakdowns.
Nobody saw us coming.
Incredible! And all the inside lowdown.
Don't sleep on this defense.
Your team.
The best player in the league right now.
Our team.
That run game was just out of control.
Every team. This is epic.
Let's go, let's go.
Back in the end zone, touchdown!
NFL Network. We're here for football.
Welcome to the next level.
This phone paired with 5G Ultra Wideband, wow.
The new Samsung Galaxy S21 is here, and it's on Verizon 5G Ultra Wideband, the fastest 5G in the world. Available in parts of many cities.
It's not just a great network.
It's ridiculously fast.
Stream your favorite shows in Ultra HD.
I'm so excited about this. Streaming is crystal clear.
Select unlimited plans get the Disney Bundle included and Discovery Plus on us.
Yes.
Buy Samsung Galaxy S21 plus 5G. Get one on us. Only on Verizon.
I need $1, that's what I need.
The Burger King $1 Your Way menu. $1 is all you need to get value like nowhere else. Your way, way better.
Weird. Come on. Great. You for real? So maybe just a cable?
We can help you.
Welcome to America's #1 battery destination. AutoZone, your battery solution.
Allergies with nasal congestion overwhelming you? Breathe more freely with powerful Claritin D. Claritin D improves nasal airflow 2 times more than the leading allergy spray at hour 1. Claritin D. Get more airflow.
New Dove Men deodorant is different. It has 48-hour protection and a plant-based moisturizer that cares for your skin. Odor protection that works. New Dove Men Plant-Based Care.
PNC Bank believes that if an app can help you track your pizza,
come on, Cody, where are you, buddy?
Then your bank should have the technology to help you track your spending. Virtual Wallet was designed to change what people expect from their bank. Easily see what's free to spend and where you can save so you can budget even better.
Okay, he's gotta be close.
He's 6 blocks in the other direction. Make a left, make a left, make a left. He made a right again.
Virtual Wallet for digital banking. One way we're helping to make a difference at PNC Bank.
This is the Epson EcoTank color printer. No more buying cartridges. Big ink tanks. Lots of ink. Print about this many pages. The new Epson EcoTank. Just fill and chill.
It's NBA on ABC time. Mavs, Nets, Clippers, Bucks on ABC.
Get Up is brought to you by Bolt 24, real advanced hydration from the makers of Gatorade. And over the weekend, top-ranked boxing, and everyone talking about this Oscar Valdez knockout. Mike Tannenbaum, what do you think?
Greeny, I saw this live. The only thing I can think of is we got somebody in the concussion protocol. Boy, flash knockdown. He's going to be unavailable for the coming weeks, maybe months.
Oh, quite the moment there. Oscar Valdez with the knockout. As we continue tomorrow, a very important day for Dak Prescott and the Cowboys. Will explain what will happen and why it probably shouldn't.
And Doug.
Hey, Limu. How great is it that we get to tell everybody how Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance so you only pay for what you need? I mean, oh, sorry. Whoops. Meow, good evening. Oh, meow. Nope. Oh, what? I'm an emu. No, buddy. Buddy, it's a filter. Only pay for what you need.
Liberty, 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 liberty.
I feel bad for kicking your seat on purpose.
I'm sorry for mansplaining. That's when a man...
I know what it is. We should have just told you it's a boy.
I wish you didn't have to hear all that.
Sorry I called you Karen.
That's my name.
Sorry your name is Karen.
I promise I will not eat any more of your friends.
Really?
Okay, it might happen one more time.
I'm Jason Tatum. Check out my Subway sub with delicious turkey and crispy bacon.
I'm Draymond Green with my Subway sub with tender steak and melty cheese.
My sub will help you put points on the board, unlike some other subs.
Why would you say that, Jason?
Hey man, I'm just talking about subs here.
Oh, come on.
My sub is going to throw down.
My sub has more rings than your sub.
My sub has bacon.
Choose better, be better when you build your favorite sub. And now safe when you order in the app. Subway, eat fresh.
But not Jason's sub.
Our presence is beyond vital. Everything we do make life amazing. Make movements out of mantras. All circumstances. And we put that on our lives daily.
The 5G Google Pixel is amazing at streaming videos. For example, take this stream here. See how smooth it is? Just a smooth 5G stream. The 5G Google Pixel from $499.
5-Hour Energy helps you get stuff done. And now, when you purchase 5-Hour Energy, you can instantly win cash prizes. For complete rules and how to enter, visit 5hewin.com. 5-Hour Energy, the official sponsor of getting stuff done.
How did this world get so broken? Our people are divided. To restore peace, I must find the last dragon.
I would have had a bigger breakfast if I known I'd be saving the world today.
On March 5th.
This isn't gonna be easy.
I too wish to join this fellowship of kickery.
We all want a better world. Someone has to take the first step.
Raya and the Last Dragon. Rated PG. In theaters or ordered on Disney Plus with Premier Access. March 5th.
Hey, Harry.
Hello, mate.
What are your tips for the big game?
Here, Michael. Hello, Gaffer. Tips for the game? Well, I think there'll be plenty of goals. No chance. That defender's a monster. Off in 20.
Harry? Michael? Whether you listen to Harry or Michael, make your best bet at BetVictor.
Won't be long, Sandra. I don't think Michael's much good.
We are back on Get Up. And for Baker Mayfield, it was a sensational year. Coming on, and their quarterback, they went 6-10. He threw 21 picks. So it was up, it was down, and then it was way back up this past year. Mayfield flipping the script. The Browns go to the playoffs for the first time since 2002. They won their first playoff game since 1994, and that creates an interesting decision the Browns have to make, because Baker Mayfield is now in the exact same spot, at least in the trajectory of his career, that Jared Goff and Carson Wentz were. Each of them, after their third seasons, got huge contract extensions. And we all know that Goff has subsequently been traded to the Lions, and Wentz got benched and is now on the Indianapolis Colts. And so the question is, if you're the Cleveland Browns, is this a good time to extend the quarterback long term? Mike Tannenbaum is my general manager. I come back to you. If you're the man making that decision, are you giving the big deal to Baker Mayfield right now?
I am not, for a couple of reasons. First of all, he's under contract for this year for roughly around $10 million. You exercise the option, and again, the cap is going down for next year, so call that around $22 million, and then you can franchise him the year after. Greeny, it's just what we had talked about, dollars over 3 years, and Baker Mayfield has a skill set that is replaceable. When you think about guys like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, those are much harder players to replace, so pay as you go. You don't have to take the risk of the guaranteed money like they did with Carson Wentz and Jared Goff. If you're Cleveland, if he ever graduates down the road, you could replace his skill set a lot easier than Buffalo ever could with Josh Allen.
All right, I may want to push back on that, but first let me go to Tim and see if he agrees. What do you think, Tim Hasselbeck?
Yeah, I think I generally agree with Mike's premise of having patience with the situation. The thing I would argue against is this. Under Kevin Stefanski's leadership, Baker Mayfield is going to improve. He hasn't been a 4,000-yard passer yet in his career because the situation in Cleveland had been a disaster. Somewhere between 26 and 30 touchdowns and 10 or fewer interceptions. He's completing about 70% of his passes. That's what Baker Mayfield can do. So Baker's numbers, like they were this past year, were up from his previous 2 years. They will be up again. He's only going to improve, and then at that point, Baker then becomes more expensive. So I actually think you can argue that you sign Baker now before he's put up numbers that are similar to other guys that are getting these big contracts. Maybe get Baker under a good deal because you feel like you can build around him because of your leadership in the organization.
I understand that completely, but on some level, I feel like you're making Mike's point for him, which is that it's the coach who's really the reason that he's doing that. And if so, then maybe a lot of other players you could put in that same situation and do it.
But Greeny, they would have to be available, and so you're taking the risk that they're available. Maybe the Ryan Tannehill player that you want to release him or replace him with when that time comes because you've delayed it on him, he might not be there, and so that's the risk that you're taking. I'm not disagreeing with Mike that it's a replaceable skill set in comparison to Lamar or Josh Allen, but I would also argue that his skill set as compared to somebody as, say, Kirk Cousins is in fact better. So look, I think that you're hoping that somebody is available to replace him with, and I don't think that that's absolutely a given.
And so Mike T, quickly, just to come back, go ahead, Mike, go.
Yeah, I made the same mistake with Mark Sanchez. We started off 4 road playoff wins. We gave him a massive extension. It didn't work out. And the inverse of what Tim said. The other issue is
it was 3
Carson Wentz,
$40 million, Mike. There's nothing wrong with that now.
Yeah, Tannenbaum was the GM of the Jets, and Kimberly was the beat reporter covering the team for Newsday, and I was just to the Jets thing. I have to move on. Kimberly, the question is, when should we expect, if there are going to be these conversations with Baker Mayfield and the Browns this offseason, when would they take place?
Yeah, I've asked around, Greeny. Look, around now, combine time is when you would sit down and talk about, both sides would sit down and discuss the timeline. When are we going to come back to the table and really sit down and go over deals done? It's a little later. But teams already know heading into free agency and the draft, if this is a guy we want to extend, and they can allocate and set aside, okay, this much money we think will go to that QB.
Yeah, look, they have, because he was a first-round pick, unlike Dak Prescott, for example, who was not. They have another year. They have a 5th year they can play with, plus the franchise tag. It'll be fascinating to see what they do. Speaking of Dak Prescott, this is a very, very big week for his situation as the Cowboys continue to have a huge decision to make. Sign him to a multi-year deal, franchise tag him again, or we'll see where the whole thing winds up going. Cowboys legend Drew Pearson.
Dak has a tremendous influence in that locker room. He is the leader. He sets the pace. Much like Roger Staubach set the pace for us. That's what Dak's real value is.
Be in agreement on that. Kimberly, tell everybody who doesn't know why this is such an important
period where teams can designate franchise guys and transition guys. So we assume it's going to cost actually more than $37 million with him on the tag.
So, Mike Tannenbaum, again, I come back to you next 2 weeks. What will they see? Will they definitively see Dak Prescott has been offered the franchise tag by the Cowboys? And if so, what does that mean?
Yes, they will designate him as their franchise player starting as early as tomorrow over the next 15 days. And simultaneously, they'll be negotiating a contract. And there is a sense of urgency, Greeny, because again, the cap is going to, so they're going to put the tag on him, and they're going to get in a room with him and his agent and try to get a long-term deal done.
Process for Jerry Jones if he had the ability to turn the calendar back 2 years. Short of that, I'm not exactly sure how he handles this. Tim Hasselbeck, what do you think?
Yeah, I think you're right. This basically, dragging or this hesitation by the Cowboys has cost them a ton of money. Dak Prescott and leader that Dak Prescott was at that point, they should have done the deal then. And that comes after, he made $31 million a year ago. So, yeah, dragging their feet to want to pay the guy because he's been nothing but a true pro.
He has. He's what he wants. And again, there may never have been a player in NFL history who has the leverage he has right now. So how do you expect this to turn out?
Yeah, Greedy, you're making a great point, which I think is what he's looking for, where maybe he only signs a 3-year extension and then gets another bite of the apple when urgency. If you're the Cowboys, you have 15 days to lower that cap number because, again, with the cap going down, $37 million is going to operate without leverage.
And so, Kimberly, I've been asking this question for 2 years. Does the sense you get from people around the league that they will work out a deal here in time?
Really, the issue was years. Dak wanted less years, and he wants to see it and say, sure, take 4 years.
Radio last week, he thinks that what Dak wants is 3 years, $40 million. Draft begins. Are the Jets going to take Zach Wilson? And if so, what does that
with crispy, cheesy edges. That's 50% more cheese baked. The Hut.
Out here, you're a landowner. Durable Kubota equipment.
Dan, you're off mute, buddy. No, low price. Douglas. Low price.
DiGiorno has 7 delicious crusts, and your family
relentless world. The run begins.
hip-hop group tag team to help you plan dessert.
French vanilla.
Rated RP2M.
Explorers.
That lake?
I'll do it.
Let's all do it. I'm in.
Hotels, stadiums,
offices, banks, childcare centers, and schools.
I'm Dr. Richard Carmen.
Safety seal. It means health and safety measures
have met rigorous science.
We have got another ACC Big 12 Big Monday doubleheader for you on ESPN and the app tonight. Syracuse and Duke at Cameron Indoor at 7. ESPN. Meanwhile, all the action has been in the NFL. By now you know it. Carson season in Philly, but he will now reunite with his old offensive coordinator Frank Reich, who during a quick break of Coast to Coast on ESPN Radio. Thank you, Key, as always.
No problem, Greeny.
And what is your sense of this? I've been asking the going to be in Indy.
Well, hopefully he's not going to Indy fragile from Philadelphia. He's put that, left that in Philly, took it out of his mind, Greeny. If he did that, then I think he'll be all right. Now it's about Carson Wentz. We all know what the defense is about. So he has a ready-made team that Phillip Rivers took to the playoffs. If he can get back in a deep position with
feel in his ability as a teammate, that people refer to him as stubborn and things like that. I can't decide why you're no, that's Alfred Hitchcock directs our show every now and again. It happens from time to time. Scared Keyshawn. Okay, but one way or another, let me bring you back if I it might be. Now you're T.Y. Hilton. You've been that guy. You've been a star receiver, and this guy
just knowing him, practicing with him, having a feel for him. Yeah, every player is going to have somebody say something about them, both positively and negatively. That's just it. That's the world that we live in as professional athletes, especially inside locker rooms. Some people look at you because of your body, your demeanor, how you carry yourself. They say, "Oh, this guy." T.Y. Hilton, I go back there. I'm not worried about it. Frank Reich said he's okay. Then he's okay.
Well, look, the best seasons of your career came with Vinny Testaverde as your Hurts, or should they be drafting somebody at 6?
It would be hard for me to draft a quarterback at 6. When you got 2 young quarterbacks sitting in a room, or maybe even 3, depending on who they go get off the practice squad or whatever. Let's assume that room is young. That's a disaster. That's a recipe for disaster.
Mm-hmm.
2 young draft capital and go sign a veteran guy that could be in a room with Jalen Hurts and bring him along. Not a veteran guy that's out there and available. You go and you sign him, you bring him in that room to teach Jalen Hurts how to be understanding how to watch film.
And not because it is his name, but be sort of the bridge. He'd put the bridge in Bridgewater under those
like that, though, right?
Yeah, fair enough. All right, again, Zubin and Jay Will are waiting.
Wait, man, I need you to sign this for me, though.
Okay,
I need your autograph right here.
What do we got here?
Just your name. I just got because I got to give it to Zubin. It's for Zubin.
Why is that? Couldn't see it, but I'm told that we can show it. Cindy says that we have it. So just so you know what it was that distracted Keyshawn so much, let's take a look. If we're going to have it, we do have it. It's coming, is what I'm being told. So this is going to be spectacular. This is the video that threw Keyshawn so badly. Here we are. We're talking, and we can go ahead and roll that if we can, Cindy, and we will be able to see a bird flying by. Okay, there's something wrong with our... You know what? That would have been spectacular. It wasn't meant to be.
Well, you can show it when I'm gone.
Sometimes things happen. Oh, there it is. There it's rolling. And now you're going to see what it was that Keyshawn... Oh, there we go.
I thought it was in the studio.
Okay.
I'm sure they'll be running that on ESPN later tonight.
Thank you very much. Keyshawn Johnson, great to see you back across carousel, because one of the many very have at least 5 quarterbacks been taken in the first round, and it could very well happen again. In fact, the overwhelming expectation is that it will. Our Todd McShay sees 5 and Justin Fields following Trevor Lawrence, and then Mac Jones going next at number 12. And so our brand new draft expert, who we first introduced to you here on this program on Friday, is Matt Miller, and he jumps in with us along with Mike T here. And so, Matt, I want to start at number 2 because we all know what number 1 is going to be. So it feels as though the Jets sort of control the draft at number 2. What exactly are the options as you see them?
Yeah, Greeny, great news for your Jets is that they are the domino that will fall first in this class. And I think where we're at right now is they have to evaluate not only this quarterback class of Zach Wilson, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, they also have to evaluate the market for that number 2 pick because that is an option here. Sam Darnold is still under contract, even though it seems somebody other than Adam Gase, maybe we get that Ryan Tannehill bump with Gase out of the way. And let's auction that number 2 overall pick to go get us some playmakers. We also have pick number 23 overall, thanks to the trade. What is the value of that number 2 pick? Because the better option might be, let's build this roster around Sam Darnold. And then if it doesn't work, then you could go to next year's class looking for another quarterback.
That's one way of looking at it. So, Mike T, really, on some level, it might come down to, do we want to go forward with Sam Darnold or do we want Zach Wilson to be our quarterback? He has emerged, it feels like, as the clear number 2 quarterback in this class. So I know you put together some tape. How do you compare them?
Yeah, Greeny, 31.4 miles away right now. Joe Douglas is sitting in his office. Here's the process he's going through that Matt Miller just described about comparing players. Let's start with Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold has struggled with consistency. Off-platform throws has been something he's struggled with. To make a play with the ball. Here's another play with Sam. He tries to get the ball down the field. He's not accurate. Compare that to Zach Wilson. Zach Wilson, look at this arm strength and accuracy. Tight window throw. That's an NFL throw. So that's what Joe Douglas is doing right now. Sam Darnold compared to what Sam Darnold's done over the last 3 years.
Right, and in fairness, and I know you know this, but I want to say it to the audience, you could have picked out good plays of Sam there as well. You were demonstrating the inconsistency that he has shown so far and being as turnover prone as he has been, which clearly has been his problem going back to college. So I'll ask it to you, Matt. If you were evaluating these players, where would you have them ranked? Zach Wilson versus Sam Darnold right now, just where they sit in their current stage of development, who is the more attractive prospect?
Yeah, I'm with Mike T. I think it is Zach Wilson. And some of that is the upside. We've seen it with Sam Darnold. I had an NFL general manager tell me once, 2018 draft class, it obviously didn't work out. And so I do think it's time. Let's move on to somebody that fits more of where the game is going. The Jets have a bright young left tackle. They've got some young receivers they're excited about. Let's give them a quarterback they can believe in. Zach Wilson, he can make all those throws off platform, on rhythm, off rhythm, throwing the YOLO balls down the field to give his receivers a chance to make plays. That exciting
for the moment, but there's more than that needs to be said about what has happened these last 3 years, and we will. Tannenbaum, I'm fighting you as this continues. Does he have new expectations as well? Why, one of our experts says he just needs.
You seen the new smoking, kicking chicken at Jimmy's John's? Savory chicken smoke.
Chicken for a limited time.
I can't help it if I'm popping. See them watch like it's outrageous how this flavor goes. We turning up all the way on the down like baby, I'm fat.
limitless possibilities. The boldly new 2021 Nissan Kicks.
Welcome to the next level.
This phone paired with 5G ultra wideband. Wow.
The new Samsung Galaxy S21 is here, and it's on Verizon 5G ultra wideband, the fastest 5G in the world. Available in parts of many cities.
It's not just a great network.
It's very
Select unlimited plans get the Disney bundle included and Discovery Plus on us.
Yes.
Buy Samsung Galaxy S21 plus 5G. Get one on us. Only on Verizon.
Like Kate, a former Army medic, made of the flexibility to handle whatever Monday has in store and tackle 4 things at once. So when her car got hit, USAA, what you're made of, we're made for.
Just over a year ago, I was drowning in credit card debt.
SoFi helped me pay off $23,000 of credit card debt.
And they helped me consolidate all of that into one low monthly payment.
They make you feel like it's an honor for them to help you out.
Smash yourself.
I went
You seen the new smoking kicking? Want smoke? I'll show you smoke.
Try the new smoking kicking chicken for a limited.
Get that light weight not next.
This is the GOAT. I need the hype. Throw that to the side. To the side. It's as big as it gets. I get those goosebumps every time.
Hey, Harry.
Hello, mate.
What are your tips for the big game?
Yeah, Michael. Hello, Gaffer. Tips for the game? Well, I think there'll be plenty of goals. No chance. That defender's a monster. Yeah, but the little fella up front is lightning. Listen, your best bet is to get...
Bet Victor.
Won't be long, Sandra. I don't think Michael's much good.
Here's our SEC Big 12 Super Tuesday doubleheader on ESPN, 7 Eastern. Squaring off against number 12 Texas in Austin. All that and more. It's Good Hoops tomorrow night on ESPN. I am Greeny, coming to you live as always from the Seaport District at Pier 17. Carousel and the start of a week. Steeltown. Why this decision could come literally any minute and could result in the end of an era in Pittsburgh. Plus, it was with the big deal from last week. Carson Wentz, the worst season of his career, just came for him. He threw 15 picks in 2020. 13 loss in Green Bay. Hurts won his first game as a starter, lost the final 3. Then Wentz was traded last week to the Colts for a third-round pick this year and a conditional 2 the following that could turn into a first-round pick. He arrived in Indy over the years. Thank you to the Eagles organization for drafting me and making my NFL dream come true. That is interesting for a number of reasons. One of them is we haven't heard anything. I mean, literally anything from Carson Wentz going back to the end of the regular season and even before that, the benching. So there are still a lot of questions, but that Instagram post is the beginning of it. Meanwhile, as far as where he goes now, Tim Hasselbeck, you made an interesting point. I've heard other quarterbacks say it, that if Carson Wentz can be good, but not try too hard to be great in Indianapolis, that actually could be the best thing for the team. What does that mean?
Well, it means that he's going to a ready-made team, as Keyshawn told you, just last segment, basically. Look, here's the situation. They have a great defense, one of the best in the league. They have the ability to run the football because they have a good back and an outstanding offensive line. They have done a good job addressing the wide receiver position, and they may not be done doing that. And so I think when you look at what Carson Wentz should be asked to do, they shouldn't put it all on his back. It's a great supporting cast. And so I think with Frank Reich's knowledge of the player and putting him in situations to be successful, he shouldn't be in a situation where he's got 600 attempts this upcoming season. They don't need to put it on him. They put it on the football team. And so I think that he'll play better.
Indianapolis, in my view, and I think the view of a lot of people around the sport, Mike Tannenbaum, an elite general manager. When you look at the situation, they find themselves by making a trade that it does not seem anybody else was interested in making.
Greeny, I agree. Chris Ballard's done an outstanding job, but this move was, to me, almost reckless/desperate, and here's why. They gave up multiple high picks, probably a first-rounder next year, for a player that there was no other competition for, someone that lacks confidence, turned the ball over a lot, and when it's all said and done over the next couple of years, in my opinion, they're going to have the fourth best quarterback, assuming Deshaun Watson's still with Houston, behind Ryan Tannehill of Tennessee and Trevor Lawrence of Jacksonville. And I think in this situation, they really negotiated against themselves. And if they were more patient, they probably could have had Carson Wentz for maybe one pick, maybe a mid-round pick, because clearly Philly wanted to move on. So while they have a good foundation, I think this move really at the end of the day was reckless in terms of they gave up way too much to get a player they could have had much less inexpensively.
I think that's reasonable if you consider what wound up happening with Jared Goff, whose contract is similar and the circumstances are similar, and the Rams basically.
Well, I think Wentz has more physical ability than Goff, so I think it's a little bit different in that regard. In terms of, best quarterback in the division, and Trevor Lawrence early on in Trevor Lawrence's career, rebuilding a roster in Jacksonville. And again, he doesn't have to be the best quarterback in the division because the team has the best roster supporting the quarterback in the division. And so I think when you look at it in that regard, look, if you're what you should do, and here's the other aspect to this. Yes, they gave up some pretty significant compensation to get him, but if he plays well, you're going to have him under contract for the next 4 years for less than $100 million. That sounds like a lot of money, but that is a massive bargain in a world where starting quarterbacks are making around $40 million a year. So I think when you look at it in that way with then I think it actually does not feel as desperate as Mike has kind of portrayed it to be.
It's an interesting thing. Kimberly Martin, jump in here. What is your sense? Go ahead.
Well, as Tim was saying, I understand Wentz does not have to be the guy necessarily in Indy because they have all those other pieces. But keep in mind, Wentz literally left Philly. There's a statue of his backup. Confidence and leadership has been questioned. It's going to be very hard to walk into this locker room and feel like, okay, I can just sit back and be a complimentary piece. He's going to want to show I can be the guy and lead this team to a Super Bowl.
It's good. The dynamics of this are fascinating, which is why I said last week I believe he is under as much pressure as any player in the NFL this coming year. We start approaching free agency. I know you have some thoughts on why the deals might look very short to people. Give me 30 seconds on the clock. Let's hear why. Kimberly, go.
A little bit when he said we're going to see a lot of one-year rentals, and I agree, because when you talk to people around the league, they talk about, you know, the cap is going to explode in the not too distant future. And I had one league source tell me, you know, guys that sign long-term deals now,
that's what's going to happen with the NFL in the reasonably near future, as opposed to this offseason where the salary cap is going to come down. So keep an eye on that. One-year deals could be the thing. Mike T, I'm coming to you next. I know you have your eye on a quarterback by the name of Mac Jones. Give me 30 seconds on the clock. What are we thinking?
Mac Jones, University of Alabama, his floor is number 8. Carolina Panthers. Go back to the Senior Bowl in Mobile, Alabama. Matt Rule loved him. It's no secret they're looking for a quarterback. So Mac Jones' floor in this year's draft is number 8. A lot of speculation about New England. If New England, Bill Belichick, Nick Saban, if they have
thought, unless Carolina winds up getting Deshaun Watson, which is one of the teams that he is being somewhat rumored to go to. But the point you were making is Mac Jones is going higher than people expect him to go. Yes? We talk about him as the 5th quarterback in this class.
Absolutely. His floor is 8, and even if Carolina takes Deshaun Watson in a trade, somebody will trade up for Mac Jones.
Okay, I like it. All right, Tim Hasselbeck, I know you have your eye on another free agent who is out there right now. Give me 30 seconds on the clock. Go.
Well, listen, it kind of piggybacks off of what Kimberly was saying about these one-year rentals. Look, J.J. Watt, you know, released by the Houston Texans, a lot of people contract. So, look, what the Texans did, I think every other team in the league would have done. And so when you maybe it's Green Bay. I think there are contenders, but I think the money will be surprising, and it will make what the Texans did make a lot more sense to people who have been following it.
Interesting to watch. We'll see if the money is the driving factor, and if it isn't out there for him, where's the best spot for him to try and win a championship next season? The one thing missing from his resume. We'll take a short break on that thought. So much more still to come as we go. If Deshaun has indeed played his last game in Houston, what is the one thing the Texans have to get in return? We'll talk about that. And meanwhile, you on ESPN.
Football is a microcosm of America. All races, religions, living, competing side by side. I pray we dedicate ourselves to be the best team we can be. Let's choose to bring about change, to try harder, show up, and stay at it.
No matter what I give it to, my love looks better on you.
You know what beats next day shipping? Getting it the same day. So shop Ace online and get
for COPD.
Birds flying high, you know how I feel. Breeze drifting on by, you know how I feel. It's a new dawn. It's a new day.
No matter how you got COPD, medicine has the power to treat COPD in as many ways as Trelegy. With 3 medicines in 1 inhaler, Trelegy helps people breathe easier and improves lung function. It also helps prevent future flare-ups. Trelegy won't replace a rescue inhaler for sudden breathing problems. Tell your doctor if you have a heart condition or high blood pressure, chest pain, mouth or tongue swelling, problems urinating, vision changes, or eye pain occur. It's time to start a new day. Ask your doctor about once daily Trelegy and save at Trelegy.com.
We make it easy for you. Tax time is here again. Block has options for you, my friend. You don't have to leave home. We'll get it done right. You can see.
Just a little bit of vinegar. We'll stop.
Do not let the dog eat it.
It's everywhere.
It smells like my grandma.
No.
Want to get away? Now you can. With fares starting at $50 one way, new destinations you want to see, and the flexibility you gotta have.
Believes in an Asian basketball player. How you feel, but you have a chance to change history.
I need you to fight for yourself the same way you fight for being Chinese.
Sandwiched between 2 fluffy brioche buns. Today for just $4.49.
It's not pretty good or nothing. It's not acceptable or nothing. And it's definitely not close enough or nothing. Mercedes-Benz SUV in the industry, in the world. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing.
To the Pittsburgh natives, supporting a different black and gold.
Hey, come on, scarf up.
And the fan near Wrigley Field just because you do.
We are back on Get Up, and Kimberly Martin, let's run the hurry up and let's begin with the latest on Lamar Jackson's contract.
We want to make Lamar a Baltimore Raven for a very long time. Now, I checked in on whether both sides have talked, and they have had conversations, but I'm told nothing substantive. But that doesn't mean Congratulations, Patrick Mahomes, Chiefs quarterback, is officially a girl dad. Him and his fiancée, Brittany Matthews, talking about his pregnant fiancée during Super Bowl week and was saying, I hope the baby holds off until after the game. And apparently she listened. Now, Deshaun Watson, we are always talking about Deshaun. He's the cornerstone QB in return. So look at the But will Deshaun want to go to the Jets? We'll see. I know
sort of drill down on a couple of those things, because I read through them in your notes earlier today. The appealing part of this from the Jets' standpoint for Houston, would that be Sam Darnold in a trade, or would that be the second pick in the draft, which could then turn into Zach Wilson or a different quarterback if they like?
Yeah, no, it would they have the second overall pick.
Right.
And a key player and give it to Houston with QB. At least that trade makes sense. Sam Darnold, not so much.
Draft picks if they wanted to, and the Jets have Sam Darnold and a bunch of draft picks if the team wants to. If you're Houston and you do come reluctantly to the conclusion that we're going to have to trade him, what exactly?
Because I want as many first-round we just looked at that tape a couple of minutes ago. Notably, the second pick overall, and that'll be at least a way I may be able to get another franchise quarterback. And most importantly, Greeny,
standpoint, if you do, same question, if you are looking to replace Deshaun Watson this coming season, who are you looking to replace him with?
Something like that, but I don't think there's a replaceable, in a trade. Like the Sam Darnold thing, and the problem Mike just alluded to in free agency in terms of attracting players. I don't think it's irreparable. Though I mean, to me, signing the contract extension, he appears to be upset about the fact that he did not have input in terms of the head coach and general manager. Head coach, then I think that's kind of too extreme for me personally on Deshaun Watson. The fact that they can't kind of say, hey, listen, we understand you're offended by it, but this is a new regime. Let's move forward and get this
way to the top of the organization, Kimberly. So wouldn't trade him is the sense that people have that ultimately they will have to.
When you ask people about Deshaun Watson, the people that know him best say he is a good kid. Number one. I mean, I just think that people look at this like, if you have a quarterback, why get rid of him? Convince him to stay and try to smooth over this relationship.
Let's see if they're able to do it. Everyone says he's not bluffing, but you won't know that until someone forces him to do it. Let me get up and go here. Schedule, but he set his personal Novak Djokovic is the champion again, beating Daniil Medvedev in straights for his third straight Australian playoff holes at the Genesis in he now missed about a 10-footer for Homa. It was his second career. He could be somebody's missing piece, and I'll tell you who he is coming up. Get up on ESPN.
People are seeking out along the way. Find yourself in the Mazda CX-30. Want more?
At Domino's, we're more than just classic hand-tossed pizza for $7.99. We're hearty, handmade. Out 3-topping pizzas on any of Domino's 5 crusts for $7.99 each.
Bender, take one. Tonight's matchup, me versus an ugly fender bender.
Geico gives you a team of experts to help manage your claim.
It's going to be a nail biter.
No, the Geico team is there for
too much.
I think we got it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Geico. Great service.
Welcome to the light side of the moon.
And
upgrading its network at a record pace. We were the first to bring 5G nationwide. 1,000 towers a month with ultra capacity 5G to bring speeds as fast as Wi-Fi to cities and towns across America. And we're adding more.
Like food. Azodicarbonamide. Our domain is organic romaine, ancient grains, chunky or plain. Saying no to that stuff is more than a goal, because that's what makes us whole.
It's NBA.
Hey, Harry.
Hello, mate.
What are you...
Chance, that defender's a monster. Yeah, but the little fella up front is lightning. Listen, your best bet is to get yourself. Look lively, Michael. We're teeing off in 20.
Harry? Michael? Whether you listen to Harry or Michael, make your best bet at BetVictor.
Won't be long, Sandra. I don't think Michael's much good.
Well, not the only person thinking that. Kimberly, any advice?
Do what I'm doing, Tom. Work the phones. Call up guys. Tell them if you want to win another Super
That we're doing here as we continue on Get Up. Coming up, Timberwolves rookie Anthony Edwards had the dunk of the year.
Excuse me? Excuse me? What year is it? So what volcano destroyed Pompeii?
Mount Vesuvius.
Mount Vesuvius. For real.
We should have just told you it's a boy. Miss Karen.
I promise I will not. One more time.
All kinds of
24.
Guys, it's home insurance, so we only pay for what we need. It's pretty cool. That is cool.
Liberty, liberty, liberty.
King, featuring a flame-grilled bacon cheeseburger. Value this good is hard to find anywhere.
Everything we do makes this land worth fighting for. This is a testament to what happens when you bet on black. We make life be the perfecter of all circumstances.
Pixel is amazing at streaming videos. Smooth 5G stream. The 5G Google Pixel. From $4.99.
Hulu show my team hit a game.
Damn, that was dope. But it's Hulu doesn't just have live. Plus, Hulu's entire streaming library.
Hey, Harry.
Hello, mate.
What are your tips for the big game?
Yeah, Michael. Hello, Gaffer. Tips for the game? Well, I think there'll be plenty of goals. No chance. That defender's a monster. Yeah, but the little fella up front is lightning. Listen, your best bet is to get yourself. Look lively, Michael. We're teeing off in 20.
Harry? Michael? Whether you listen to Harry or Michael, make your best bet at BetVictor.
Won't be long, Sandra. I don't...
You want basketball? We're the place for you tonight. ACC Big 12 Monday. And then you got number 15 Texas Tech taking on Oklahoma State. That's tonight, right here on ESPN. KD for the fourth straight game. Fourth quarter, Clippers down 11, but they're not. 6. James Harden, you can't give him any room. I mean, none. Again, he had 34, but didn't play the final minutes because of a minute. Kawhi would tie it with a couple of free throws. Jordan is there for the tip. It's up. It's good. It's a 2-point lead for Brooklyn. 11 seconds to go. Kawhi to the basket. Up and good, but hold everything. It's an offense to win it. 112. Against teams 500 or better. That is the best such winning percentage in the NBA. Jumps over for a minute. All right, let's start. Challenge at the end there. You think it would have been over?
Those are one of the things that you wish you had something in your
It's a bad call. All right, let me jump to some other things. He's right.
Break his MVP run. Right? At all, Greeny, at all. If he plays well during this stretch, I think LeBron James has a chance to kind of run away with this award. But Joel Embiid, the record-wise right now, I still think that the Nets are the best team in
because I hate the load management that much. Okay, one more thing for you. Anthony Edwards, Friday night. I mean, this.
Well, look, obviously, I think a great dunk screen. I go to Vince Carter over Frederick Weiss in the 2011. My mind around his body by the wrong place, the wrong is on DeAndre Jordan's body that no man's space should ever be around a human being.
And I suppose from a basketball standpoint,
dig deeper. I mean, it was 0-7 from the three-point line, 3 of 14 from the field. From the media, you know the things we love, and I give him credit for the dunk.
It went crazy again. And Jay Will, he's
my man, Greeny.
All right, meanwhile, let me run the floor through some. In overtime yesterday, Brandon Ingram in Pelicans franchise history. 115, Milwaukee winning its second straight, ending a 5-game losing Timberwolves have fired their coach, Ryan Saunders, after their loss to the Knicks. Team is now finalizing a multi-year deal with Raptors assistant Chris Finch. According to Woj, Finch is expected to begin the job on Tuesday with the game in Milwaukee. And don't miss Utah. Donovan Mitchell and the Jazz. Our coverage starts with Stephen A's pregame Sports Center at 7 right here on ESPN. Back to the NFL. Carson Wentz arriving in Indy. So far, Matthew Stafford going to the Rams and Carson Wentz going to the Colts. Both quarterbacks got exactly what they wanted and wound up in extraordinary the Colt. Mike T, if you had to...
Oh, I don't like this bet. I'm going to say reluctantly Matt Stafford and the Rams.
He's going to call
Aaron
in soon.
Donald, I'm going to take that defense. Yeah. And I'm going to take that Ram defense.
All right, Kimberly, who you got, Wentz or Stafford?
Do you want to get punched or the team is stacked better? There's something about something's not right in LA. I like Stafford going to the Rams. Colts with Frank Reich, Chris Ballard as GM. I think they're going to make the right moves. He knows how to play, so I think he's in a better spot.
I agree on that front. I think that he is in a great spot. But Stafford, to me, I understand what you're saying. Or he's a great quarterback who's been on terrible teams, and I'm betting on the second. Tim Hasselbeck.
A long way from Needham, Mass. I'll tell you that. And I would just say this. I'm going with Matthew Stafford. Conference to make to the Super Bowl out of. I think, the AFC probably a tougher path. House on it, and I don't live there.
Listen, go ahead, Tannenbaum.
Hey, I was going to say, and we're not.
Though it's far-fetched on my part. Kimberly Martin, I would suggest that the defense was that good. The quarterback play was amazing.
Okay, I think the Rams would be improved with Stafford. Made the Super Bowl a few years ago. I'm not. There are a lot of questions around, staff and play structure and the team itself. I think the Colts are primed for the Super Bowl over the Rams.
I would like to see that game. LA. Matthew Stafford is leading you to the promised land soon. All right, as we continue in a moment here. But will that actually make the team any better. We'll tell you what.
For your gut, and your mood will follow. They're your whole world. 21 Chrysler Pacifica plug-in hybrid.
The show, baby. We're here for the Thursday night throwdowns. Touchdown.
Well, I like getting the ball at 17.
Sunday morning breakdowns.
Nobody saw it.
That run game was just out of control.
Every team. This is epic.
Pepperoni. And the best part? Crispy. Today, no one out pizzas.
Many cities.
It's not just a great network.
Select unlimited plans, get the
Weird. Come on. Great.
Welcome to America's #1 battery destination, AutoZone. Your
Listen, babe.
Homes inspire us all.
Yes, baby, there ain't no mountain high.
Massive. Shop their business.
More? So what are you waiting for, Captain Ahab to help you find a partner?
Too small.
Seriously? Because it... follow him. As big as whales.
Geico. See all the ways you could save.
It might look like your body is crying.
$5 in cash prize. For complete rules and how to enter, visit goes.
Nope.
Yeah. Get more.
The Epson Eco Tank. No more buying cartridges. Look at all this ink it comes with. Big ink tanks. Lots of ink. No more cartridges. Incredible amount of ink. The Epson Eco Tank.
The only man to ever win a Super Bowl and an Olympic gold medal,
And we welcome you back to our studio here. Greeny with you. Get Up on ESPN, coming to you live as always and with you commercial free for through both Max and free until then. And we're doing our QB reads with Tim Hasselbeck. Tim, we're going to put you on the spot and make some quarterback.
Greeny, and when you look at kind of what's gone on for him in New York, you know, Todd Bowles' last year with Jeremy Bates as the offensive coordinator, than what we've seen, and he's already a Jet. To me, I think you can build around this guy, so I'm saying they stick with Sam Darnold.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said about that, and we will. Meanwhile, how about Houston? Who will be their starter next?
On Watson, and with that being the so I'm going to say early in the show, you need to do it before the draft if you're going to do it, and with that being the case.
If you don't already know, you will as we get closer to the draft. How about Washington? Who'll be their quarterback?
Well, you know, these guys are kind of flying under the radar. And he plays real. Ryan Fitzpatrick would be a great guy. Think about the deal he signed in Miami. 2 years, $13.5 million. You know, you're not paying an arm and a leg for him, and I think you get good quarterback play.
I think that is such an important point. I want you to look at these numbers on the screen. Cindy, leave them up there a second. Ryan Fitzpatrick, over the last 3 seasons, has a better QBR than Deshaun, a better completion percentage than Tom Brady, more yards per attempt than Russell Wilson, and a higher touchdown percentage than Dak Prescott. In other words, what we're trying to say here is, while no one pays any attention to it at all, this is not, you know, your grandfather's Ryan Fitzpatrick, the guy that we years, and no one takes it seriously. So I think the point I'm trying to make here, Kimberly, is, and I made this point on the radio a couple of weeks ago, in this game of quarterback musical chairs, someone is going to wind up with Ryan Fitzpatrick, and their fans are not going to be excited about it. But those numbers suggest there's an argument to be made.
It's magic in person. What we saw in Miami put a feelings about being benched for 2 and all that, but Ryan Fitzpatrick, the guy belongs in a Canton just for the fact that he is still playing, and everywhere he between Haskins and Alex Smith, who is still coming back from the leg situation, and Tyler Heineke, they have him, but Ryan might actually be a decent fit, a 1-year rental, if you will, because he's a good locker room guy, and you know he's going to take a young team and
is up there. The Washington football team had the worst quarterback play of any team in the NFL last year. They still went 7-9 because that defense is that good. You put Mike T, what do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. You win for today with Ryan Fitzpatrick. So it makes a ton of sense. I think they would compete with Dallas, assuming that Dak Prescott is back for the division. Like you said, it's a really, really good defense to me. It's a little bit under the radar, and they already signed Heineke to an extension, which I like. So this really fits, checks a lot of boxes for both
somewhere else, and we were just asking you to largely to guess here. I think the larger point is the one that I made when I was asking Kimberly. Some team is going to sign Fitzpatrick. Their fans are not going to rejoice about it. But the truth is they're getting a much better player than they realize. Do you agree with that?
I do agree with that. And Greeny, you said, I don't know what the other options are. Look, maybe Washington's picking in the draft. He signed a 2-year, $13.5 million deal in Miami. So you're not talking about paying him anywhere near starter money. You're just not. And so, yeah, good quarterback play, cheap contract, and by the way, a great leader and guy in the locker room.
Absolutely. And with all due respect to Cam Newton, who's had, we will say, I think that is an intriguing one to keep a close eye on. The most intriguing quarterback situation this offseason. You could sign Dak to a multi-year deal, or you could franchise tag him again. Listening to.
Especially if you let him play under the franchise tag this season, and you don't sign him anywhere along the line influence in that locker room. He is the leader. He sets the pace, much like Roger Staubach.
Okay. 2 years and change, but this is a critical week for this story.
Deadline spurs action, and tomorrow starts the 15-day window for teams to designate franchise guys and transition guys, and it's expected that the Cowboys will franchise Dak for the second straight year. But this time, tag. So hopefully, Jerry Jones listens to Drew Pearson, because we've all been saying the same thing about getting a deal done.
Well, yeah. He begins, I suppose, if you're Jerry Jones and you make up your mind, I have to get this deal done now no matter what else happens. Where is
That's what Deshaun Watson signed for, and it's at least 3 years of guarantee. Within the next 15 days, so that franchise tag would come off their books and get a lower cap number.
And if the hang-up is years, which is what we're hearing, that the Cowboys have wanted a longer deal and Dak does not. You're going there. You whatever it is he wants, you're giving him. You're giving him 3 years if that's what he wants?
Greeny, it's 100% capitulation. Here's the contract, Dak. You basically fill it in, and we have to accept it. We're going to cut our losses and get it done.
That sounds like, what do you think?